Thank, thank you everyone for coming out today. I really appreciate you all for coming out and showing your support as we stand together to protest for Black lives. My name is Ire and I went to Granada.
Hey, I'm Lav. I also went to Granada. Thank you all for coming out today, and thank Mayor Marchand and City Council members for coming out. I also want to thank all these beautiful people standing behind me for getting this protest together. Badan Tahori, Cheesin Wigington, Riley Mora, Kylie LeClantier, Avery Pearl, Ashley Zhuang, Sez Shahu, Monica Garcia, Iman Wazada, Christian Harazia, Katrina Soraya, Alethea Engracia, Asia Joseph, Irfan Warich, Trinity Bill, Claire Green, Yat Anderson, Emily Wilson, Blanchard Kenfack, and Ellen Pete. To start off, we want to educate you about this day in history.
Juneteenth, June 19th, 1865, is widely considered to be the official day that slavery was abolished. No, the Emancipation Proclamation did not end slavery completely. The law wasn't enforced in many southern states, so slavery continued up until June 19th, 1865, and that day is remembered as Juneteenth.
As an entire group, we have developed some demands that we would like to address to Mayor Marchand and the Livermore City Council. Redirect money away from the Livermore Police Department and into mental health services, affordable housing, and education. Work alongside with the BLM, Tri-Valley to defund and divest. Prioritize the construction of affordable housing and the construction for the downtown plan.
To Dr. Bowers, school administrators, and principals, we ask that you require and encourage U.S. history teachers to cover topics such as redlining, mass incarceration, and systemic racism. To incorporate more Black authors and authors of color into the English curriculum. To require anti-racism training informed by Black students' perspectives for all public school teachers and administrators. To create a group for Black students led by Black mentors to help them through high school and prepare them for college, similar to Dr. Maisha's African American Scholars Program. It's puzzling to me that Black people can get murdered in our streets and our killers can go unpunished. We record these vile acts and present it as evidence, but we still cannot get justice. America cannot arrest a cop for killing an unarmed Black man. Unarmed Black man. America cannot arrest a cop for killing an unarmed Black man, even if you play their video in the face. Now what hope do those beautiful souls who don't get their crimes recorded have? Our legal system chooses not to reprimand officers who kill innocent lives. Instead, they reward them with a paid vacation and bring them back when the media shifts to the murder on the next street. You see, Black people have been lynched in America since the 1700s. June 19th, 1865 represents Juneteenth, and that is considered to be the day slavery was abolished. But that system never changed. It simply evolved, and it remains oppressive towards Black people. As a result, Black people are still being murdered in America. As a result, Black people are being killed. Black people are still being lynched in the United States of America. George Floyd's death struck millions of hearts in America. But the circumstances that led to George Floyd's death isn't something new. This isn't something that hasn't happened before. No. There's a saying that you've never seen a man cry until you see a man die. The old and young saw George Floyd cry to his dead mother for help. The old and young saw George Floyd breathe until he could no more. The old and young saw George Floyd full of life, and then they saw the life squeezed out of him as he cried out in anguish. I still haven't seen the full video. I can't. I've watched enough to be outraged. And now, white America is outraged. Whites who use their voice, especially white people in positions of power, can be a catalyst for change. Thank you.
To go along with that, back when I first moved to Livermore, I came down from Pleasanton. It's not much different than Livermore itself. In the school and in the city of Pleasanton, I didn't see a lot of people who look like me. Transitioning from middle school to high school, I was hoping that I would see more Black people when I moved to Livermore, but I only saw maybe one or two in my classes and barely any when I went out into town. According to the 2019 U.S. Census Bureau Quick Facts, the population of Livermore itself is approximately 90,000 people, and of that number, 1.8% are Black people. This to me is very alarming and scary. This is not because of any other reason, but deliberately outrank Black people. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of not seeing the diversity in this town.
Hey.
Sometimes I get to the point where I just don't want to be around certain people. To the point I feel like I'm an outsider due to the color of my skin and feel highly uncomfortable within the city. I can't express it enough how I wish I saw so many more people who look like me in this town. We need more low-income housing for people of color in the city. We must start this immediately so we can occupy more black families, which will bring in more black kids into our public schools. We're going to divulge about some of the stereotypical sayings we experience in this oppressive society and some of the names and the stories behind the names of who have been murdered. Some stereotypical sayings black women get are, for example, "Can I touch your hair?" "No, you cannot." Black women are not pets in a petting zoo. Continually, we are ridiculed for our beautiful textured curl patterns within our hair and have been made to feel that we don't fit in societal beauty standards. Although you may say, well, this is a dehumanizing thing to say, we don't ask to touch your ponytail. Please don't touch and don't ask either.
Short hair, no locks. As a black man, you're forced to have your hair fit into a certain box to be deemed responsible. As a kid, I was taught to have my hair look a certain way so I could accommodate for other people's biases.
Another saying is, "Wow, you're so articulate." By saying this, you are assuming in a subtle way that black women typically are not articulate, so it comes to us as a surprise to you. If a black woman speaks with elocution and terminology, we are often met with this critique. This is toxic because it feeds into the negative stereotypes that tend to oppress us at work and beyond. Nothing about this comment is right. If you're surprised when we articulate, you need to check your own bias.
It is atrocious that black people in corporate America need to change the way their natural hair looks so it can fit into what a white person deems to be responsible. Dreadlocks. This word has a strong connotation and is in fact racist. I'm gonna give y'all a little history class real quick. People who have their hair locked refer to them as locks and not dreadlocks. And now I'm going to explain why. You have the Buffalo Soldiers, an all-black group of soldiers. They use the term buffalo to identify them because they were feared and their hair apparently looked like the fur of a buffalo. Many years later, you had journalists writing about the brothers with locks, aka the Buffalo Brothers. Now, because they were so feared in battle, they started referring to them as the dreaded men with locks because of how their hair looked. Years later, it was made into the Dreadlocks Brothers because they referred to them as the Dreadful Brothers because no one wanted to fight them. You see, locks means a bundle of hair. And now when you say dreadlocks, you're saying someone's hair is dreadful. The double standard comes into effect when you see adaptations in Goldilocks and Shrek 2, when they refer to Prince Charming as someone who has beautiful locks. Please do not use the word dreadlocks to refer to anyone. Thank you.
Another saying black women get, "You're so aggressive." For years, black women have been portrayed as angry, sassy, or aggressive in the media, stories, and pop culture. This prejudice often holds black women back from growing and moving into leadership roles in the workplace.
I'm a black athlete, and people make assumptions on how I perform inside the classroom all the time. Young black men are often stereotyped into classes. There's this idea that as a young black man, you're either an athlete, interested in the arts, or for some strange reason, you decide to go to college and pursue a career. This idea is so strongly attached to many people's biases that when they meet someone who doesn't fit into their stereotype, they question that person's blackness.
Another stereotype is, "You're pretty enough for a black girl." This comment is all types of wrong. It implies that a black woman has managed to be pretty despite our blackness or the color of her skin. "You're pretty for a black girl" validates the ignorant and exclusive beauty standards that have historically ignored and cut off black women completely. Melanin is beautiful no matter how sun-kissed our complexion is. Period. I have a poem that I would like to share with you guys. It's called Black Yourself.
How no?
Then why is it a crime to be a black woman?
I don't know. You should ask the audience, what do they think?
Is it a crime to be yourself?
Hell no.
I can't hear you.
Hell no.
One more time so the racists in Livermore can hear.
Hell no.
To my melanated sisters in the Tri-Valley area, don't let your skin tone hold you back from succeeding in your class, your school, your job, or discourage you from talking in your social group, or feel ashamed to walk carefree in your local grocery store, or feel ashamed to love and appreciate your skin tone and your culture. The truth is, you shouldn't let these things bring you down. People's judgments and assumptions will not determine on what you're going to do in life. Be the best version you can be, and don't take shit from nobody. Period. Thank you.
I wrote a poem too. It's called What Happens When We're Outside. It's scary outside. Black people are being hunted outside. I've cried about the things that happen outside. So I decide to stay inside. Decide? Decide. No, I'm forced to stay inside. Inside is where the things outside don't choke me to suffocation. Inside is where legislation can't be the cause of my damnation. If I go outside, I know damn well I'm going to end up in a station. So I stay away from the outside. But the outside is everywhere. It's airborne. And so I can't breathe. R.I.P. George Floyd. And so I can't jog outside. R.I.P. Ahmaud Arbery. And so I can't even stay inside. R.I.P. Breonna Taylor.
All right, next up for our speakers is Claire Green and Trinity Bell.
Hi, I'm Claire Green.